Oh, it's always longer than expected. Good afternoon, everyone. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Fiscal officer, please call the roll. Trustee Silver? Here. Trustee Sierra? Here. Trustee Jessberger? Here. Ms. Locke is here. Township Administrator? Superintendent of Public Works?
Here.
Chief of Police?
Here.
Chief of Fire?
Here.
Our next meeting is October 6th, 2021 at 12 p.m. at 999 Chambers Road. I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda with flexibility.
I'll second.
Trustee Sword?
Yes.
Trustee Jessberger?
Yes.
Trustee Zero? Yes. I'd like to use that flexibility right away and give the floor to Attorney Julian Arnott here with us today to talk about annexation a little bit. Should I speak from the podium? Probably, okay. For the sound. Are we checking if the mic's on?
Good afternoon, trustees, everyone here today. And I'm getting the thumbs up that the mic is working. Excellent, great. Matt asked, and the board asked me to come and speak about annexation a little bit. Specifically, there was a parcel, I believe it's the former Valley City site, about 26 acres or so, that township received notice that a type 2 expedited petition, annexation petition has been filed. And basically, what does that mean for the township? Obviously, annexation, that can be a big scary word. And so what does that mean for the township and that type of thing? So there are 5 different types of annexation. So not all annexation petitions are created equally. Under expedited type 2, that is, quite frankly, that's the type of annexation we see most frequently. And part of the reason is that it's started by the property owner. The property owner files this petition, and basically, as long as that property owner checks several factual benchmarks, then there's not much, it's generally granted. And by check marks, I mean, is it under 500 acres? Is it at least 95, or I'm sorry, I have my numbers flipped, is at least 5% contiguous to the city, the municipality is being annexed to, that type of thing. Truly factual benchmarks, that type of thing. Again, another reason why it's frequently used is because it, again, from the property owner's perspective, if they meet those kind of statutory check marks, the annexation can't be contested necessarily, and then it will move forward. And so from the property owner's perspective, annexation occurs for a variety, they may need to annex for a variety of reasons. Oftentimes it's they may need water and sewer service from the municipality they're going to. There could be a variety of reasons, better zoning requirements, better opportunities available to the property owner itself. But the trade-off for, as I said, because the type 2 annexation process is pretty streamlined for the property owner, the trade-off for the township, because there's not really an opportunity to contest as long as that property owner meets those benchmarks. Trade-off is that when the annexation occurs, the city does not have the ability to conform, what's called conforming its boundaries, and kick the township out of that area. So in a type 2 annexation, the property is annexed into the city. However, the township is not removed from that area, the township remains. And most importantly, from the township's perspective, is that your real estate taxes, your levies stay in place. And so, but again, that's the trade-off, that if the property owner wants kind of a streamlined mechanism to be annexed to this other town, this other municipality, because the township doesn't have recourse, it remains in the township, subject to township real estate taxes, and that type of thing. I know, another thing that we've discussed, because the township has a JEDZ in place as well, and this is a commercial property, just with, similar to the township's real estate taxes, and levies, that type of thing, the property is not removed from the JEDZ merely by the fact that it is in the process of being annexed into the city. Again, so then what is the impact to the township? It doesn't impact the real estate taxes, and Chief Jones and I were discussing this beforehand. The real question comes with safety services, and that's something that will be ironed out between the city will reach out, the city will reach out to the township, because it now is in Columbus. The question will be, well, who is the first responder? And Chief and I were discussing that, realistically, the township is likely going to be the closest first responder anyways. And the second question was, if the township's still responding to this, we want to make sure that that financial impact isn't felt, and because the real estate taxes are still in place, the tax revenue is still in place, the township should be protected in that way. So obviously, as I said, annexation is a hot button item for townships. And in this situation, because it's type 2, there are still some, the township will still maintain its tax base and that type of thing. It just loses some control over the property, that type of thing. So I've talked for a while. Does anyone have any questions or anything like that?
So there's nothing the township can do to stop the process of the annexation. It is requested by the property owner, therefore.
Correct. The property owner files the petition. It is property owner driven, which the property owners file the petition. The township's only potential option would be to contest if that petition didn't meet those statutory check marks. We've gone through the petition, and it meets that. It meets, as far as I can tell, it meets those statutory check marks, so the township does not have the ability to contest. Correct.
So taxes stay forever or a fixed number of years? I thought it was
Forever. And I believe, when I spoke to Chief earlier, I know that there was a situation earlier that I think might be in your mind there, because there are multiple types of annexation, and the annexation law changed about 10 years or so. There have been situations where, and Clinton has experienced situations where a property's been annexed, there's been some sort of compensation for the tax revenue, but ultimately at some point it stops. But under a type 2 annexation, in perpetuity, because the city does not have the ability to conform its boundaries, and when I say conform its boundaries, that's a mechanism that they can do to, again, kick the township out. Under type 2, that's not a possibility, and so they cannot kick the township out. Correct.
That kind of clarifies for me that I had heard there was some 12-year wind down when it was a type 2, but that must be either never true or that was before this law changed 10 years ago.
So, and not to get involved, there's no, for type 2, there is no wind down, there is no time period.
Okay.
And there may have been other situations in the past where that absolutely occurred, but there are a variety of reasons why. But I'm not gonna
Get into all
I won't get into the weeds of the possibilities, but for this situation, because it's type 2, there is no wind down period. They're in the township.
Okay.
So when it comes to first responders,
if the city reaches out, is that, like, would that mean, like, for us to continue what we're doing to offer the safety stuff, would we just enter into a contract with the city? Or there would be no need for a contract because it's still within the township?
So it is still part of the township, but, and that's, in terms of first responders, that's more of a, you know, with the run cards and that type of thing, which is above my pay grade. But that is something that the departments would, in my experience, that's something that the departments iron out as part of the overall annexation process.
And all of that would still include public works? Because if it's in the township, but something public works wise needs to be done, does that fall on the city though, or would that still come to us?
So in terms of, you mean roads?
Yes.
So I don't know that any roads are being annexed. At least the legal description just looked like a parcel really. So yeah, from public works perspective, it would remain the same.
Quick question I have. So in this type 2, when the parcels, because some of that abuts Mifflin Township as well. Now, the Ennis Road and Westernville Road areas that abut that, do those roads then go into the city, or do those stay in the township, the roadways themselves?
So the road, and sometimes in annexation, roadways can get annexed, and that can cause, that's a kind of another wrinkle that can occur in terms of the petition. But in this situation, and looking at the petition, there aren't any roads that are being annexed, and so the roads remain the same.
If the parcel is to be developed, redeveloped, if you will, and the property value obviously goes up, the property tax ideally will continue to go up as well. That all comes to the township as well.
Correct.
So any improvements on the property that increases the property value, the township receives those fundings.
That is correct. Just like if any other parcel that in the township, that the township has real estate taxes on, the valuation, the real estate appraised value goes up, and then your levies will flex more. It will be the same thing for this parcel.
What other questions does anyone have?
Are there any disadvantages to this, to the township?
Well, I suppose from an economic standpoint, in terms of if this property is redeveloped, there will be additional tax revenue. The township obviously is not first responder anymore. You do lose the pride of saying this is unincorporated area of the township. So I would say, obviously negative is always relative, or down, what's the downside? It's always relative. But from a positioning of does it hurt the township? From a financial perspective, it does not. And obviously there's always a policy question of, well, maybe people don't like what's going in there or that type of thing. And a lot of times that's not anything that the township or even the city could control, because you're not a property, it's not your own property. Yeah, I would say not particularly, and again, I'm not a resident, this is just from more of a business perspective. But from a financial standpoint, an economic standpoint, it's not a detriment to the township, or it wouldn't be.
That's refreshing to hear.
Yeah.
I thank you for coming and helping us iron through some of this, because I think that word has such a hot button attached to it and a lot of emotion and not always a lot of information. So hopefully we've got the information now a little bit kind of out there, and folks who view the meeting later will also hear the good news. So I appreciate it, Julie.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks,
You have a good one. Take care.
Stay dry.
With that, we are on to a motion to approve the September 1st, 2021 meeting minutes.
Awesome.
Oh, yes.
Trustee Jesberger,
Yes.
trustee Sarah.
Yes. Okay, fiscal officer.
The August fiscal report. So second half, real estate posted in August, and rollback to homestead posted the same month. Sometimes that doesn't happen until September. And we got caught up with some, there was a little bit of a delay in our EMS billing, so that posted and got caught up in August. And then I wasn't able to post it to the books yet because I hadn't paid the ARPA funding until September. But the last week of August, the ARPA funding landed in our bank account as well. So I'll just read you the numbers now. August 1st, we had $7,427,343.39. Revenue in the month of August was $1,905,904.94. Expenditures last month was $422,998.66, leaving us with an overall fund balance of $8,310,249.67.
Thank you. Unless one of you two want to overrule me, I'm reticent to make a motion to approve this right now. I haven't had a chance to look at the full report in our email. I like to do that in case I have questions. So okay, if we just bump this forward one agenda?
Absolutely.
And looks like number 7 is also yours, Deb.
Tomorrow, there'll be community hours with the auditor himself, Michael Stenziano, here in this room, which is at 3820 Cleveland Avenue, from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m.
I'd like to make a motion to give the fiscal officer permission to move $1.5 million from Star Ohio to meter investments.
I'll second.
Trustee Sword,
Yes.
Trustee Jesberger,
Yes.
Trustee Sarah.
Yes. Number 9 is taken care of. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
I'll second.
Trustee Sword,
Yes.
Trustee Jesberger,
Yes.
Trustee Sarah.
Yes. Okay, key reports.
So, I will pass the produce market on to Chief Fraley. I was not there this past Friday.
So, September 10th, we distributed 4,500 pounds of produce to 77 families. And we had distributed 45 gun locks through Project Child Safe.
Yay, done.
Did you say 40?
45.
45.
Cool. We good with that one?
Yep.
Okay. Fiscal officer?
And then, yeah, we did this little fiscal form effort. I forget the exact date of it, but it was a week or two ago. And this was really sort of what I consider like a test pilot. So it was just hearing from 14 folks in the township, 6 from the west side, 8 from the east side. Every person who attended was given 5 stubs, and they went and put those stubs in buckets of things they would support. And one of those buckets was an other bucket that people would staple what their other was. So again, not legally binding, just sort of a survey. So 34% went to police funding, 25% went to infrastructure. Then the other stuff got the most, I'll review the other in a second. 14% to fire and 8% to direct support for businesses and households negatively impacted from COVID. And then in the other box, the big winner was economic development with 8% of the whole pie. Code enforcement at 7% and 1 stub for a dog park. So, I'm happy I did it small the first time because I learned a few things and because of COVID. So attendees asked to see a copy of the budget, which makes total sense. but I'll work on that when we do this next year. I'd like to do it the first Wednesday in September and give folks, when they come in, a one-pager of that year's budget. And if COVID calms down next year, we do more marketing before the event.
Okay, thank you. I would just briefly toss something in from Sustainability Committee. The board was kind enough to approve that hiring of Energility, the consultant and company who helped us do an energy audit, and probably not going to get all the exact vocabulary here, right? So, but we found that our building is within the top 15 to 20% of similar buildings, similar businesses in terms of its energy use, and that means that we can qualify for an Energy Star rating, which we're going to pursue. So that was a really positive finding from that study, and also that taking a look at street lights in terms of if that's something we want to consider moving towards LED in the future. So that's a little further down the road, but just thought I'd let you know we're talking about those two items. Okay, I think that's to you, Mr. Huffman.
Have no new business.
I see we got a little packet today about the township stimulus program. Could we maybe agree to talk about that on our next agenda and get a little further down the road with what we think we're going to hone in on with that, just to give everybody some more time to think about it? And
I've not had the opportunity to speak with the engineer's office based off last meeting's discussion yet, so we need to probably have things submitted. I'd like earlier than later in October, since November is the deadline.
right, that's why I want to go ahead and get it on the next agenda. Okay, if that sounds reasonable to you. Okay, Chief Fraley.
Yes, we would like to request a resolution to appoint Eli Malin as a full-time firefighter at step 1 of the labor agreement, effective October 2nd, 2021. This would be paid from 2111 to 2100 and 2281 to 3100.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Desberger?
Yes.
Trustee Sarah?
Yes.
I just have a
Other
quick
items,
one.
okay, under other items, we're gonna keep moving the agenda. Chief, anything else?
That's all we had, thank you.
Okay, cool. Chief Jones.
Yes, I'd just like to use flexibility. I don't have any new business, but just want to announce to the board that one of the applicants that we approved to hire, Carolyn Rodebeck, has pulled from the process. But we did swear in 2 of the other people yesterday, and we're scrambling to try to find uniform parts for them. We're being told late October before we can get some of their stuff in. So the supply chain is still in need of help. But yesterday we did have them out, so you're going to see some new faces in the cruisers pretty soon. Glenda helped me with some pictures yesterday, and so the folks know we're trying to keep at it here. That's all that I have.
That was nice, that post. Okay, thank you. Superintendent Flagg, see you.
Yeah, just so the board knows, there was a typo with the 2231 line item on my agenda. I will read it correctly. I would like to request a resolution to hire Jake Shelton as full-time public works maintenance worker at step 1 rate of $17 an hour, effective October 20th, 2021, pending the completion of a background and drug screen. To be paid from line items 2011 330 100, 2021 330 100, 2031 330 100, and 2231 330 100.
So moved.
I'll second.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Desberger?
Yes.
Trustee Sarah?
Yes. Welcome, Jake.
And I'd like to use a little flexibility. The seal coating of our asphalt parking lot here at 3820 has been pushed back. They will be doing the front lot and the police lot Friday, and the rest of the lot Saturday and Sunday, which will be more convenient. There will be fewer employee cars here.
Great.
That's all that I have.
Thank you. Appreciations?
I'm gonna put, sorry. What? I wanted to thank the residents who came in to the first fiscal forum.
Okay, thanks.
I just wanted to thank Mr. Michael Groves from Langer Road. He had gifted the township a 9/11 commemorative copy of the Columbus Dispatch, which is laminated back here on the back table. I advised him I would work diligently to try to get that posted somewhere here in the building for people to be able to look at as a display. But that was given to us over the weekend, and I'd just like to thank him for that.
You know, I had just another idea in this very moment, Chief. I'm wondering if we couldn't get somebody like Staples or someone to just make us like a booklet out of it, that we could then just put it on the table occasionally or whatever, and both sides of the page would be visible. By turning the page, I wonder.
I love it. I'm looking for any ideas right
Yeah.
now, because it is front and back, so it makes
Yeah.
it kind of difficult. But
Maybe we can look at that. Are they the same way? They're not upside down on the back or anything, right? Same direction.
Correct.
Flip. That might work. Bobby?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Corey and the road department for cutting those trees back from that stop sign at the intersection of 9th and Rhoda, because you couldn't even see the stop sign because of the trees and the car that parks right up against it. So I want to thank them for doing that.
I'm gonna give a shout out to everybody that held down the fort at the last produce market. I had to bail on at the last moment due to a work obligation, so thank you guys for getting everything taken care of.
I have one small thing. I just wanted to quickly say congratulations to Eli as becoming our next full-time employee. I know that he is very well respected in this township, specifically his department, and he has been quite the fun young person to hang around. So welcome aboard.
Well, we're having a really grateful meeting. I had one too. We've gotten several emails in the last couple of weeks from various Franklin County entities encouraging local governments to adopt masking policies, and I wanted to just thank everybody for keeping us ahead of the curve on that, supporting that like a month ago when we decided to do it here. So it's nice to get that validation that it's happening everywhere again. And I appreciated your support on the board for voting for it, and department heads for your support and getting input into that process, so thank you. Anything else under appreciations? Breaking records?
I just have a question I want to ask Brian. How is hiring one full-time firefighter gonna fit in with 3 24-hour shifts?
He's going to be afloat. We've talked about this position for quite a bit of time, and the process is going to be to have him assigned to a 40-hour for 10 days to try to help us cut down on overtime. We have such a drastic part-time shortage right now that we're having overtime almost every day. And today we have 2 slots of overtime just to keep the station open. That's been going on for some time now with our part-time shortage. So bringing him in, we'll assign him for 10-hour days when we have full-time staff on all the crews. But if I have a full-timer that's off for an extended period of time, which we will have here soon, I will assign him to a shift temporarily until that person comes back, and then he'll go back to the 40-hour 410s, just trying to help us cover trucks.
Okay, I was just curious, because normally we hire 3, because that way we have 1 for each shift.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
What other items are there to come before the board?